So it's been another month since I uploaded, so once again, sorry about that. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at this HP mini PC. This computer is a HP Elite 8300 Ultra, I think, and it has a quad-core i5 in it, and that's the reason I picked it up. So of course my neighbor starts mowing his lawn like when I'm recording, but I was able to get this computer for $45 at a recycling center. So I actually forgot what i5 this computer has, and I guess we can check in the BIOS later, but it does need some thermal compound, so I'm going to take it apart and apply that. I guess before I go any further, maybe I should just list off all the specs and everything. So it has a quad-core Intel i5. It's a 3rd generation Ivy bridge. The system comes with no hard drive and 4 gigs of RAM, and there's also an expansion slot in the back for a add-in video card. I actually picked this system up like 2 months ago, and it was incredibly dusty, but the dust was very light, and it wasn't like typical computer dust where it's kind of sticky and whatever. It was actually really easy to get out, but it was full of dust. So if we look down over the top of this, I kind of like to remove this front cover. When I do this, I've actually taken the heatsink off a lot, so it makes it easier. So this part, I believe, just slides out like that with the fan. Fan is plugged in down there. I believe these are 60mm fans. They might be 50, but they're PWM, so that's cool. So when the system inevitably dies, I'll be able to reuse those somewhere. More on that in a bit. So it looks like I also have to remove the optical drive. I do actually quite like the way they have this mounted in here. So there's a tab to pull out the optical drive. You can't really see that, so I'll pan the camera up. You pull that tab, pull out the drive, and then there's this latch here where you swing up on the, I believe that's a drive caddy, and there is a SATA header right there along with a mini SATA header there. And then actually to remove this bracket, there's a screw on the back. My bad, there's also a screw right there. And then you lift up this tab here and push it back, and there you go. So at this point we can access the rather small heatsink, and I'll reposition that so you can actually see what's going on. So if you pull that off, there's a bit of thermal compound on the heatsink still, I guess, so good enough. But that processor is actually, you can see it there, an i5-3570S, so pretty nice. So I'm going to, off camera, remove the old thermal compound and continue when I'm done. So let's go ahead and apply some new thermal compound. I believe I've said this on video before, but this syringe of thermal compound that's like barely half empty at this point, and I've had it for 2 years, is kind of screwed up, and it makes it really hard and messy to apply thermal compound with it, because my friend, shout out to Jared if you're watching, dropped it and the nozzle broke off. So that's fun, and I think I applied way too much, but I'm actually considering putting that thermal compound in a new syringe that I have that's empty. So yeah, so with way too much thermal compound applied, we can go ahead and put this back on. And I forgot which way it goes, but I think it goes like that. And I guess we can check it by aligning the fan bracket with it. Yep, that seems to work. So let's go ahead and screw it back in. So there is the processor reinstalled, and I think I can put this fan back in without having the optical drive caddy in first. So we can go ahead and slide that down there, and there we go. So before I continue, I'm going to show you these slots down here. One of these is for a SATA SSD, and it uses the same kind that my router PC build did. And I might actually get one. It's not at all in the budget right now, so I probably won't. But in the future, I can upgrade this PC with a small SSD. There's also a SATA header right there, you can see. And I'm going to be putting a hard drive in this eventually when I get a few more. But yeah, so that's the hard drive options. Earlier, I alluded to this PC inevitably dying, and you can see that cap right there, and there's a few more that I forgot where they are. Those are actually bulging, and I think that's an issue with HP computers of this era. Maybe, I don't know. But Yeah, so this computer is inevitably going to die because of that, and what's nice is it has the i5 in it, and I can just throw that in another like MATX motherboard or something eventually, and that will have more expansion than this computer does. So I have an Ubuntu install disk plugged in the back of there, and this computer does have a USB 3, I should add, and maybe I'll do like a hardware tour of it. But we pan up here, and you can hear my tape that the phone is taped to the tripod with making noise. I just turned on the computer, and let's wait for a post. There we go. Can't really see that, can you? I'll stand in front of the window to make it better. Non-system disk or disk error. I get this error a lot with this computer. I'm gonna have to figure out why it doesn't want to boot from media, but yeah, I guess I'll do that some other time. I was trying to remember why my old videos where I show systems like this were always longer and kind of more interesting, and I realized I leave out a lot of information about the system, like the I/O. So up front, we have 4 USB 2, a headphone microphone combo and a headphone jack, along with the power button, hard drive, and power LEDs. I'm gonna do a rant one day on why I hate the light bulb symbol for power. It's like stupid, I think. And then there's an optical drive here that supports a lot, you can see. On the back we have our fan, which pulls air from the GPU side, I guess, if you have that installed. More on that later as well. You can see we have our line in and line out, dual display port, 4 USB 3, which is pretty nice. We have gigabit networking, 2 USB 2, PS2 for mouse and keyboard. We have VGA and our power supply in. So you can see here, these are the expansion card options for the computer. Like I said, this can take a video card. A lot of these don't make sense, but I do recognize this because I researched it when I got the computer. You can put an HD 7450 in there, in that kind of weird slot, and theoretically it would just output through the onboard graphics ports. With that said, I think this is a pretty nice little computer. Like I said, I got the whole thing for $45, and the processor alone goes for about $45 on eBay. Not that I could really get anything else for the rest of the system at that point. But yeah, with that said, I think that's gonna be it for this video about this little computer. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.